I'm just kidding, it won't sound like that. Hey, welcome back, friends of the internet. You're watching Snowcat Designs, and my name's Cole, and we are back on the Snowcat build. We have a gauge panel to build today, but before that, let's get you caught up on some of the stuff I have done since the last video. As you can see, the engine's back out, cowling is back out. I popped the rad out one more time and put in another bung because, as viewers corrected me and I was more or less just stating it wrong, the radiator fan switch is going to be at the bottom. So when hot coolant is entering the top and going down, if it doesn't get cooled enough just by natural convection, that switch down at the bottom will turn the radiator fan on, drawing air through to help bring the coolant down. The bung on the top is going to be for engine coolant temperature. So the coolant that comes out of the engine is going to enter the top almost at its hottest, and that will be the reading on the gauge there. We've got a little bit of work to do getting the fuel water separator mounted and fuel filter. That wiring looks like a mess, but there's not actually a ton there. Now, to the serpentine system. This used to have an AC compressor, a power steering pump up right in here, and the belt, like most vehicles, did a bunch of loop-de-loops and double backs and everything like that. But only thing running off this crank pulley is the alternator. And with this tensioner, actually goes up. All we need is a small singular belt, and I thought I had measured out for the right circumference belt, the right length belt, but oh man, it's so close. It is off by a centimeter. So I went ahead, I ordered a belt that's a few centimeters longer than this, because when this tensioner pivots up, it'll put tension right there, and I don't need any other idler pulleys or anything. So we're waiting on that, unfortunately. And then one of the other comments, which I do appreciate when people mention things, because, you know, I don't catch everything. I have my way of thinking, and, you know, it is what it is. I like to do what I think I need to do, but enough people commented and said I really should get this flex coupler in here. So that's not bolted up there yet anymore. Enough people mentioned that I should have a flex coupler in there to reduce any kind of cracking in the exhaust system. So I went ahead and I got that flex coupler in there as well. And here is some of the electrical diagrams that I've been working on doing. I already spilled some food on them. This is more of a relay logic or an elementary wiring diagram of the battery, my positive negative posts, the constant power fuse block, and then an ignition powered fuse block, and everything that's going to be running off those two fuse blocks. And then here is a bit more of a connection wiring diagram with our gauges, hydraulic temps, key switch, wiper switch, gauge lights. We got front lights below windshield, front lights above windshield, rear marker lights that are red, rear floodlights that are white. What do we got here? Oh, we got power for a strobe light, a horn, cab lights. Gonna have it all covered. And that more or less finishes what I've done on the engine for the last little while. Really hasn't been very much, but I think we are ready to get back to some aluminum fabricating, and let's get this gauge cluster fabricated up, get the gauges in, maybe we'll even get some wiring done. This is all getting us one step closer to getting this engine fired. We're not gonna be too far away. It's really getting close. The fuel system, I have all the parts. Intake, I have most of the parts, waiting on a few couplers, so I can't quite get all the intercooler piping and everything done, but we're getting there. So hang on, let's get some welding done. Hey, well, my day changed a little bit there on me. Shortly after just recording the intro to this video, power goes out. And it's been out, well, just came back on, but it's been out for, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 hours, better part of the day here. So it's funny, sometimes you just gotta adapt. Power went out, couldn't use any shop tools, and I ended up having this show up to get some repairs. That's pretty cool, eh? It's like a spider lift. Self-propelled, on track, self-leveling. It's a pretty neat rig. Buddy needed some repairs done to it. He was having some electrical issues, so I took a look. and intermittent issues always suck, but I think I got it resolved. Been using it for a little while and seems to be working just fine. So was able to work on this outside when the power was out, and now the power's back on, and I think I'm done with this. So let's go get some metal cut. Here we go, pieces are cut. Despite my OCD telling me to cut them in half, exactly the same, I have gone ahead and cut the driver's side panel to 31 inches, and then the passenger is gonna be 25, I guess, for a total of 56. The reason I did that is because beside the gauges that I wanna see in front of me, there's gonna be several switches to control lights and different things. And I want all that to be able to be on one part, one panel. And if I split it down the middle, I was probably not gonna have enough room, and some switches would have to be on the other one. And I would like to keep all the electrical to one side, and then the passenger side will just be a finish, cover panel. Because the wiper motors will be behind this as well. So I'm pretty confident this will bug me by seeing a joint that is not centered in the vehicle, but I think it makes sense. So let's get over to the bender. We need to do a bit of a Z bend on both these panels, match them up as close as we can, and then look at getting them mounted. And then we'll knock all the holes in them that we need, start putting stuff in. Actually, that's a lie. We're gonna undercoat these. Be nice and black. Okay, well, I know this is a bit of a odd angle. It's gonna be hard to see, but once it comes together, I think you'll get the picture. This is just a mock-up bend out of some scrap. And that's, you know, what I'm shooting for is this kind of profile, and the gauges will mount in on this face, and all the switches will be on here, and then we'll chamfer off the ends. Perfect. It's a little underbent, but that's what I want. It's easier to put more bend in than to take it out. Oh, it's perfect. Okay, now the hard part. I gotta do that a second time. All right, there we go. Pretty close match to one another. Let's clamp them up and see what this dash is gonna look like. I like it. Passenger side needs to be trimmed down a little bit. Oh yeah. Okay, so now we just got to close this in. Little extra to trim off there. Now to my favorite part. Let's get welding. I've gone ahead, laid out the holes that I need to cut with the hole saw to get the gauges in, and the ignition switch, and some of our other, auxiliary switches and that. And once we get those in, we're gonna sand these pieces down and get some bed liner on them. This is gonna be a nice black gauge cluster and everything. I think it's gonna turn out really nice, so let's get drilling some holes in this. All right, time to hit this with a quick 80 grit, and then we'll get the bed liner on. Well, there we go. I had to mock it up here. I wanted to see what it looked like. Well, I'm really loving how that looks, so let's pop the driver's side down, knock some gauges in, and take a final look. So the fuel's already in, but we have all the other gauges. Go ahead, get those in, get the ignition, and the auxiliary switches in. Now, these gauges are not anything special. They're kind of an Amazon special. I figured gauges is one of those things, if the cheaper ones are gonna work for me, great. If they don't, it's not gonna be hard to upgrade my gauges to something else. I've gone with a standard kind of a 2-inch gauge. I left enough room. If I needed to go to 3-inch gauges, I could. So again, being that this is a prototype, I have to try and save money where I can. It's all coming out of my pocket, and there's a lot of things, a lot of better places to put money. Well, the gauges look really good. We're gonna get this rolled out and we'll show you a little bit better close-up of all of that because I'm really happy with how that's gonna turn out. All right, well, because I don't know how long this video is gonna turn out being, I did get in some of the fittings I needed for the fuel tank. In the last video, we got this thing all nicely mounted to the cowling. We need to tap some holes in the bottom for the barb fittings, and in the top for the vent, we'll put the sending unit in it, and then I have, they're called bulkhead fittings, and you'll see what I'm talking about. We'll get those put through, and I even have my fuel water separator, which will get mounted down here too. So let's go ahead, we'll knock those things out and make this a real good video. We'll get some stuff done. Time to go leak check this. So the hole size I used for this 3/8 NPT tap was a little oversized. So the threads went down a little further than they should, but it's still sealed up really well. And I went and leak checked with water, no leaks. So let's get the vent in. So these are known as a bulkhead fitting, and it's got a fuel barb on either side. It goes through a firewall or some panel, and yeah, it's just a really nice way of transitioning through a material. get some fuel line measured up. Well, with the fuel lines all connected up to here, it's time to find a place for the water separator and fuel filter. And I'm thinking right in here like this. This thing's nice because you can really coordinate it however you want. In here, out here, in here, out there, in here, out there. So you just pick which ports you want to use and then blank off the rest. So I'm thinking right like this. I already know that the engine's not going to interfere with this. I've kind of taken a look at that, and I'm going to leave enough room that I can put a little drip cup to catch any water if you ever need to drain any out. I'm happy I don't have the engine in here. This makes this a lot easier. Well, there we go. We rolled it back out, and I know there's not a lot of new stuff to show on this other than the dash that we've been working on, but I mean, I take any chance I can get to roll this out in the natural sunlight. Oh my god, it looks so good, and I can't wait to get it moving and driving. Still waiting on some of the components I need to finish up the engine stuff, but it's not all that far away. Now that the dash is done, I have an electrical panel to make, some wiring, and it's gonna happen. There you go. There's a view from the driver's seat. Got your ignition here, glow plugs, a bunch of auxiliary lights, voltmeter, oil pressure, temp, fuel. There's still gonna be digital displays that go in for hydraulic temperatures and a tachometer. And here I am. I'm completely standing in this thing. I absolutely love this. I'm just kidding, it won't sound like that. Oh, these Volkswagen turbo diesels are so quiet. Well, I don't know, maybe it was an eventful video, maybe it was. But I think we got enough stuff done to call it a video, and I need to go get some editing done and get this out to you. And then we'll continue working. I can't wait. We do have the big milestone of the engine starting and stuff like that soon. Unfortunately, shipping just takes time. But anyways, if you stayed with me this long, thank you again. I really do appreciate it. And I love all the support that we get. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.